My name is Gisela Carbonell. I'm the curator here at the Cornell Fine Arts Museum. I want to welcome all of you to this very special event, which is made possible by the Thomas P. Johnson Visiting Scholars Fund at Rollins College. It is my immense pleasure to introduce our visiting artist, Guillermo Galindo. Galindo is an experimental composer, sonic architect, performer, and visual media artist. His work redefines the conventional limits between music, the art of music composition, and the intersections between all art disciplines, politics, humanitarian issues, spirituality, and social awareness. Galindo's artistic practice emerges from the crossroads between sound, sight, and performance, and includes everything from orchestral compositions, instrumental works, and opera, to instrument building, three-dimensional installation, and live improvisation. Galindo was born and raised in Mexico City. He earned a bachelor's degree in music composition from the Escuela Nacional de Música at the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de México, the National Music School at Mexico's autonomous university. He earned a second bachelor's degree in film scoring, composition, from the Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts, and a master's degree in music composition and electronic music from Mills College in Oakland, California. He's currently senior adjunct professor at California College of the Arts, and this past year he was the 2018 Moore Visiting Artist at Stanford University. In 2006, Galindo began building his own instruments, performing compositions and improvising with them. Between 2012 and 2014, he started a collaboration with photographer Richard Misrak, gathering objects from the United States-Mexico border, where Galindo created sonic devices and musical scores made from hybrid recycled industrial materials and found objects controlled by computerized means. His acoustic compositions include major chamber and solo works, 2 symphonies commissioned by the Mexico University Symphony Orchestra, the Oakland Symphony Orchestra and Choir, and operas with libretto, one by Guillermo Gomez Peña and the other by Ann Carson. Last year, Galindo's commissioned chamber composition, the interactive piece Remote Control, was world premiered and performed by Kronos Quartet 50 for the Future program at the San Francisco Jazz Center in California. His graphic scores and sonic objects have been shown at major museums and art biennials in America, Europe, Asia, and around the world, including Documenta 14 and Pacific Standard Time in 2017. He was invited to participate in Documenta. His works were shown in both Greece and Germany. Referencing the international immigration crisis, he built sonic devices and graphic scores from belongings of migrants from Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, and Yemen, creating the series Echo Exodus, which includes a piece from 2 wreckage immigrant boats that he found on the island of Lesbos, Greece. Guillermo's work has been featured by BBC Outlook and Vice magazine in London, RTS Switzerland on NPR, CBC in Canada, Reforma newspaper in Mexico, CNN, the New York Times, and Art in America, among many others. His sonic pieces, as well as his art objects, are profound in their reach, engaging in their presentation, and socially aware. We are privileged to be the first museum in Florida to acquire works by Galindo for a permanent collection. We have 3 pieces on view in this exhibition, 2 of which we acquired for the collection earlier this year. We're also thrilled to be the first museum in Florida to host Galindo as a visiting artist and performer, and to experience his performance Sonic Borders 3, which he will present tonight. I kindly ask you to silence your cell phone for this presentation and to stay after the performance for a Q&A session with the artist. Please help me welcome Guillermo Galindo.
feels good. My favorite is unretired. Hello, I'm Joe. I'm Cordell. Here are a few quick divorce tips.
Exposure, exposure, expose, expose, exposure, 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 exposure,
hypothermia,
exposure,
xenophobia,
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 exposure,
hyperthermia,
exposure,
xenophobia,
exposure,
The invisible,
exposure,
the absent,
exposure,
the unsaid,
exposure,
the unheard,
exposure,
the absence,
exposure,
the unsaid,
exposure,
the unheard,
exposure,
the absent,
exposure,
the invisible,
exposure,
the absent,
exposure,
the invisible,
exposure,
the invisible,
exposure,
The invisible.
exposure,
The invisible.
exposure,
Xenophobia.
exposure,
Xenophobia.
exposure,
Hyperthermia.
exposure,
Xenophobia.
exposure,
Xenophobia.
exposure,
Xenophobia.
exposure,
Allow me to
exposure,
speak now.
exposure,
This is important.
exposure,
Listen carefully. Listen
exposure,
carefully. Carefully.
exposure,
Listen carefully.
exposure,
Listen carefully. Listen carefully.
exposure, 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 exposure,
This is important.
exposure,
Listen carefully. Listen carefully.
exposure,
Now. Now. Listen
exposure,
carefully. Listen carefully. Listen.
exposure,
Listen to me. Listen carefully.
exposure,
Listen carefully.
exposure,
No light. No light. No light. No light.
exposure,
No light. No. No light. No light. No light. No. No. No light. No light.
exposure, exposure,
Lo que dejé atrás
exposure,
para siempre.
exposure,
Lo que dejo atrás
exposure,
para siempre. Para
exposure,
siempre. Para siempre. Para siempre. Para siempre.
exposure,
No like. 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 Lo que dejé atrás para siempre. Para siempre. What I left behind forever. Forever. What I left behind forever. What I left behind forever.
exposure, 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 exposure,
Hello. Thank you very much for coming. I want to thank the Rollins College and the Cornell Museum. I want to thank especially Anna Heller and Gisela Carbonell and Austin Reeves, all of the personnel here that have been treating me really well today. And I'm very appreciative that the museum has acquired two of my most appreciated and beautiful pieces that I love, and I'm sure that they're going to be in good hands. And thank you, all of you, for coming. You're wonderful. Okay. I think maybe Graciela wants to conduct a question answer, or should I conduct it? How do we do this?
So we have some time for questions for Guillermo.
Can you talk about some of the found objects and then like how they correlate to the piece as a whole?
Like the ones I have here.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of my first instruments, together with those two that were acquired by the museum. This is kind of it's one of the only ones based in a normal instrument. The instruments that lay flat and have strings are called scythers, are classified as scythers. And scythers are a lot of instruments in the world. There are kotos, and there's a lot of Asian instruments that are scythers. And this one in particular is made with wood found in the Laredo border. And the bones and the stones were found in a site where there were a couple of backpacks, and seems like somebody had made a fire there. There were some pieces of clothing there. And this is one of my favorite instruments. Also in the side, I added later decorations that are made with inner tire that are used to cross the Rio Grande, and other decorations that are made with the plastic from these Border Patrol gun shells. And it also has parts of food cans. The bottles are different bottles. This one was found in the California desert. This one came all the way from Lesbos. It was found in the island of Lesbos. It was close to a wreckage. The same as this one. It's a beautiful bottle. It's plastic, but it looks like a imitation of perfume bottles made of crystal. The three of them have very different tones. This is a soprano. This is kind of a tenor, and this is a baritone. And what else do I have here? I have a can. I have the gun shells, this beautiful thing that my assistant made for me after we finished all the project to thank me for working together. And what else can I tell you about? The rocks come from the desert as well. And you have any curiosity of anything else? Okay.
Yes, I noticed that you used just about every instrument you had on the table. Just about, not all of them. Did you plan this score, or is this all ad lib? Oh, it's planned. Oh, so it is planned. Ah.
It's what we call control improvisation. That you have a series of elements and a series of actions to be. Yeah, this is called control improvisation in music, and it's a series of actions or a series of events, sound events, that are have to happen in a frame of time. So I have frames of time in which certain things have to happen, and then while I'm playing, I use my ears a lot to see what I'm creating according to the room and the textures, to thin the textures and to make them more dense or less dense, so that we can hear everything that I'm playing.
So you don't really vary it too much?
There's variation, of course, but there's like let's call it a set of instructions. I consider this not very much a performance or a music piece, but a ritual. So when in a ritual you kind of follow certain things. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm trying to. And especially today, I have refined a lot this piece. I played it about 50 times now, so I'm kind of trying to like make it very, very refined. I'm still working on it. It's always is a work in progress.
It's more a comment than a question. The grief was unbearable. The grief I felt was unbearable. Yeah, you made us, you made me feel it.
Any more questions?
So I want to thank you. I'm still a little emotionally overcome, but I do have questions. The layering of discordance and harmony was particularly like emotionally powerful. And I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on how you decide what sounds to layer on top of each other, and what effect you're going for when you choose to put the sounds on top of one another, because it was very powerful.
The beginning, I'm basically creating a text or an environment. I'm not using very much tones or anything. At the beginning, I'm trying to set the scene, an imaginary landscape, an imaginary empty landscape. And I kind of picture how things behave in nature and how sound behaves in the environment, how different things, how we have the capacity with our ears that to just encompass certain sounds and to pay attention to certain sounds. So I build up either from dense texture to not very dense texture, from high-pitched sounds, middle-pitched sounds. So everything is, I've been classifying it in my head. No, I start basically with middle tones, and then I add low tones, and then I add a little bit more high tones, and I keep listening to what I'm doing and subtracting and adding accordingly. It's like I'm cooking something here. It's like, does it have enough salt or enough cumin? And I taste it, and I also feel what you guys are feeling, and I kind of feed that into the piece. And does that answer the question? Thank you. Another question, please.
I also want to just thank you. This was really quite wonderful. And I was curious if in your mind, if the composition is narrative, if there's a story structure, or if it's more of an interlaced, just emotional composition, or if in your mind it's following an actual story.
This is a very interesting question, because there's two ways I work, and in this particular piece I don't work too much with narrative, but I work with a certain order, which ends up being a narrative, no? But the way that we perceive time, I don't know if you perceive this, but if I create a certain environment, it starts becoming an experience, and it's not linear, you don't feel like it's gonna have an end or it had a beginning, Certainly you're captured by the experience, It's what happens when we're immersed in prayer or immersed in something that you create this kind of stasis, where time doesn't exist. You create a capsule of non-time, that is not particularly narrative. It's more like an experience. It's like if I'm bringing the whole landscape here. That's what I'm thinking about, no? Any other questions?
So over time, as the political events of the day occur, we get horrendous news at the border and caravans and things like that. Does that impact your performance that night, or as you visit the border and you see new things, do you come back with a different feeling of outrage or disheartening?
It's been a long journey. We started working, Richard Misrach and I started working in 2012. We finished in 2016. When we started, Trump wasn't even a candidate for president. And when we finished, he was the president. I remember playing, I think it was in Texas. I was playing exactly this piece. And after the concert, I was so overwhelmed that I had to run away. And when I came out, still the people was out there and they were hugging each other and there was people crying. And I've seen a lot of things, in this question and answer debates and things that happen after the performance. I've seen people literally fighting against each other about if it's okay to have a wall or it's not okay to have the border patrol and everything. And it's been overwhelming, and obviously that has impacted my music, and it impacts every day. I feel I'm honored to be able to do this and to raise some aware about this important issue and the humanitarian issues that this matter is causing. I think that that beyond partisan, Democrat, Republican, whatever, we have to stay together as human beings and just understand each other, and just make an effort to be human to each other. We cannot. We're not that big in the universe. We have to stay together. That's how I feel. Oh, thank you. Thank you. See, as you can see, I don't give an explicit political message or anything. It's just about feeling and being human and having imagination and be spiritual and be close together. That's what it's about.
When I look at that table, I think of all these items as being characters. And I'm thinking that you've taken these characters from someplace in our environment, and then you're bringing them back into nature, in the nature that you're creating. Does that, and it's sort of that political issue of recycling, and that, does that play a role at all for you?
Well, it's not really about recycling. It's more, I consider each of these subjects belong to a person, and there were things that travel with somebody that was in the middle of nowhere, traveling away from their home and escaping probably tremendous violence and tremendous harshness in their native countries. And each of these objects has something to say about it. That's how I feel about it. I'm going to quote something that is in the book of Border Cantos that I think I got from a student of Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, that is a contemporary music composer. He said, a tennis shoe found in the moon is not the same thing as a tennis shoe found in the trash can. So these objects, you can find this bottle in a trash can, and you can recycle it, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same bottle.
I work in the Mexican consulate, and I heard a lot of stories. So every day I hear something that one of the sounds that you do, it's a story of someone. So it's very emotional for me, and I just want to thank you for that.